This right here is why I always say to people, you can drastically change your body proportions and visual aesthetics just by hitting the gym and slapping on some muscle on your frame. It drastically can improve your body, even when your body fat isn't even that low. When I was going through my old folders of like physique updates and progress photos and all that stuff, when I came across this video, I was shocked to see the weight I am in that video and what I looked like compared to what I am now, which is the same weight, but I look quite a lot differently. And bearing in mind, the video of me on the right is me currently, which is like after over a year of not really going to the gym with the most intensity or anything. So this is what I would call my bad physique, whereas the one on the left, that was me at the end of a bulk, but I was still training like 5 days a week. In fairness, I got a little bit too heavy with the bulk, I got a little bit too thick, but I was still training quite a lot. I understand that my set point isn't naturally to be super lean. So what I need to do to give the illusion of looking more muscular, I needed to try and build up my lats, try and make my ab muscles as dense as possible. So do crunches with weights and hanging leg raises and leg raises, trying to make my abs as blocky as possible so they'll stick through the fat. So I don't need to be as lean or as low body fat to see my abs. I made a whole video on it, which was called how to build visible abs, because like a whole technique of how to actually train your abs to be more blocky to poke through the fat. But in general, it gives the aesthetics of the V-taper because you're getting a broader back, which is making your waist look smaller, even though it technically isn't, but you're just building the proportions up here to make them look broader. So I purposely did a training routine for years specifically to build the aesthetic look because I knew it was too hard for me to maintain being below 12% body fat year round. So this is why I say it's important for you to have a goal and a plan of what you're going to do to build the ideal physique that you ideally want. The problem is that many people, when they see stuff like this, they want to, for example, go from like A to B and that be like the 3-4 month transformation when that was actually 5 years ago. I recommend to all of you out there, you need to label all your photos in your camera roll on your computer with file names of your weight and the date because it allows you to easily track. Like in my file system, I do like, for example, I do the year. So I'll do like 2018 and then I'll do hyphen 200, well, it wouldn't be 200, it'd be like 180 pounds or 170 pounds. And I have them all scattered throughout my folders. And when I name them that convention, it's easy for me to then compare my physiques. You haven't got to guess your weight because you knew what it was because you put it in the file name. So that's just a tip that I recommend. So for those of you wondering, how do you actually do this? Number one, you have to realize you have to have realistic time scales. Like if I just post this online, some people might have thought that that was me at the beginning, never stepped a foot in the gym. I was naturally fat and I cut down like that on the right. That's not the case. I was also training actively before the left. So for example, if you're someone that looks like the left, but you've never actually stepped foot in the gym, you can't expect after like 3 months to look naturally muscular and ripped. Unless you're going to jump on some steroids or sarms or something, it's just not going to happen. So you have to understand that you need to spend the time building the foundation and adding muscle mass to your body. I personally believe that a real solid bulk cannot be less than 9 months. Anything less than 9 months, you're not going to gain significant amounts of muscle, even if you're a newbie. And even if you was a newbie in that scenario, you'd want to try and maximize it. For the first main year of building muscle, at the bare minimum, don't be in a deficit. If you want to stay around maintenance and then try and do it there and gradually move up, like the Maingaining thing, I'd say that's fine too. But if you want to get into a more lean bulk phase, but keep it very gradual, I'd probably recommend that of the two. I think that you're going to see more progress because you're going to be able to lift more weight. So the more weight you have in your bones, the more weight you can ideally move. And that's going to obviously convert over into you building more muscle. So in essence, number one is don't be in a calorie deficit while training the gym and consume a high protein diet relative to your body size. Then number two is consistency. You can't be one of those people that flip-flop. Like many people do this. They'll start a bulk or a building phase. And after the first 2 months, because they start looking a little bit more smoother, less defined, they start going, you know what, I need to do a mini cut. And they start dialing back the calories. And then when they get a little bit thin, like, I'm looking too small, then they try bump it. They literally go back and forth. And they're basically wasting months upon months of maybe their prime years. So you need to have a set goal, a set plan, and have the determination and fortitude to persevere even when you feel like you may not look the best. Because if you're getting stronger in the gym as you're doing this, trust me, muscle is being built even if you can't see it on the surface. So you have to make sure that you don't just keep flip-flopping back and forth, because I'd say that's probably one of the biggest errors that people in this scenario have. They want to pack on muscle but look lean real quick. So for that reason, they're in two mindsets and they keep going backwards and forwards and they end up just spinning their wheels and not really making much progress overall. The only thing I'd probably say as a third one is supplementation. The only ones I'd say in this scenario probably beneficial for you is creatine, because it just does help strength, endurance, and power. Whey protein, if you're someone that suffers to get in the protein from food, but do not rely on whey protein, even though it is a very easily digestible form of protein. If you can still get the amount of protein you need from food, I'd rely on that as the main source. And number 3, a pre-workout for the days when you're really in that kick, because there is going to be days when you just feel lethargic. But the good thing is, because you're not in a deficit, you shouldn't feel drained or very weak that frequent. You should consistently, over the periods of months, not every single workout, be getting stronger or just having a better workout in general. The more muscle mass you have on your body, the easier it is to actually burn more calories and therefore stay leaner. For example, if there was 2 of me now, if I clone myself, one of me is me that's been training for like what, at this point, 9+ years, and the other me has not trained ever in life. If we're both sitting here right now, like 5 hours doing nothing, I would burn more calories than the lazy clone of me, simply because there's more muscle on my frame. So if you want to go down to like stats, if you look at the body fat of me in the left photo at the end of my bulk, I would have said my body fat was probably around, bearing in mind there's still a little bit of muscle on there, I'll probably say still around the 25% mark, which is never a good way to end your bulk. So take that as a tip in itself. Don't get too heavy on the bulking phase. Day bulks are bad. But if you compare that to the right hand side, I look leaner, but the amount of actual body fat on my body probably isn't drastically lower than the left. The simple fact is my body fat percentage will go down because I've got more muscle mass on my body, which will naturally lower your percentage of body fat, because, you know, the more muscle you gain, lower your body fat percentage number has to go down because it's about percentages. So in that fact, yeah, I'm a lower body fat percentage, but the amount of body fat on my body, I'll be surprised if it's that different. You know what I mean? I'll probably say maybe 3 kg lower at most. Because I spent all that time in the past, like a bank, invested in myself, going to the gym, you build a certain level of consistency, routine, discipline, all those things. And even though at times they will somewhat waver, if you've been doing it consistently enough, you're going to find that the gains just don't completely disappear. Whereas we've all seen people that run loads of gear simply just reduce their doses and their voided up gains almost evaporate. And that's when they're still actually training as well. Whereas if you're a natural lifter and you just happen to stop lifting as much, the gains tend to only marginally be affected and will return back pretty quickly once you get back to your regular routine and start building back up your discipline. For example, take me now. I've reduced my output. I wouldn't say I've lost every single last bit of gains. The more you invest in yourself, the more your body kind of like supports you and respects you back. And that is the best and simple way I could probably put it.